Everybody, Brian Good here with a long update on a very complicated setup. First off, we have these high-level clouds moving in. Looks like it's going to rain, I know, at times, and some of this is probably going to be vertigo on the edges of the rainfall trying to move in. But it's kind of that hazy sky so far out there at the moment. Can't rule out perhaps some light rain trying to work its way in later on. But our biggest issue by far is going to be the setup here with the warm front and the amount of energy that is coming in from the southwest. The combination of the two is really allowing for, well, it looks to be a very busy night ahead for us. And I'm not saying it's going to be a non-stop severe weather event. It just means the setup is going to be busy with constant showers and heavy thunderstorms in the area. Warm front is still to our south as of now, and that's where all the deep moisture is as well. But it is working its way to the north, and once it crosses into Kentucky, that's when the show will begin. Latest update from the Storm Prediction Center has the enhanced area of severe weather across a good chunk now. In fact, just about everybody now into wave country is now in the level 3 or enhanced category. When you break it down, tornado potential, this didn't surprise me at all. It was raised to 10%, mainly across central areas of Kentucky. The damage and wind potential has increased to 30%, again, for areas across southern and central Kentucky. And the large hail risk, in general, the percentage has been expanded, but the hatch area is about the same, which means the potential is still there for hailstones that could exceed golf ball size in some cases with some of these cells. So a lot to monitor on that end. Now, when we talk about the flooding potential, this is the flash flood guidance. It's telling me that, you know, at the moment, our ground can support at least 2, maybe 2.5 inches of rain in 1 hour's time. That we can handle. Some of these thunderstorms, though, if they train themselves over and over, we will likely see ourselves exceed these limits, and then we're going to get into a flash flood warning setup, and that could happen. So just kind of a heads up there. That potential is going to be an issue we'll be monitoring as the night wears on, and certainly the entire weekend. Here's the latest look right now at a couple of the models. Here's the high-res HRRR model. It's showing some showers moving through midday today. I wouldn't rule it out. I think a lot of that is overdone. But the dew points are high enough that I think we could see perhaps some brief showers that may try to develop in the area today. That certainly will limit a bit of the heating. I'll come back around to that in a second. But then as we ended this afternoon, those cells, and that's why I think that enhance has been expanded a little more in our southern tier of counties, is this is where the show will begin. Where the warm front is crossing in Kentucky from the south, these supercells begin to get organized, large hail. Your damaging wind threat and tornado threat will actually be a little more maximized at this point too for our southern counties. And then it's just going to be a mess of trying to get this boundary to the north. How quickly does that happen? I'll show you the RPM version of this. Again, it's not as aggressive with the afternoon stuff as you saw there, which I think is a little more accurate. But it is showing basically what the HRRR model does. The cells in southern Kentucky along the warm front begin to pop. Can't rule out thunderstorms in Indiana, but the severe stuff should be closer to the front. Then as we head into the evening time period, it's going to be painfully slow to get this to work its way to the north. But it's going to get there. But it may take all night to get us to this point. So that means that several of you are going to find yourselves perhaps in several severe weather warnings more than just once. We could have some counties that have 4 or 5 severe thunderstorm warnings in a row, maybe even a tornado warning or 2 in a row. While the areas to the north of the front, which will include a lot of us, will be mainly just rain for a while until we get the more unstable setup to work its way into the Ohio River Valley. So a lot of questions on this. This is a key part, by all means, is how the front is going to behave as it moves through the area overnight, and certainly for the balloon race and the marathon races tomorrow morning. Where is it going to be? Is it going to be in Indiana by this point, which will help? Or is it still going to be very close to Louisville, which is not going to help at all? It'll still lead to problems. We talk about the shear a lot. This is the Schreff ensembles. You know, 40 is always the one I look at for severe potential, and look what it's going for, like an average of 60. An average of 60 knot shear, with some indicators going higher than 70. That is a tremendous amount of wind energy that this warm front's going to have with it. On top of that, and this is what really is leading to an unstable atmosphere, even though it's a setup where it's happening during the overnight. We don't have the sun to add to it. And if we had the sun combined with all this, it'd be different. It'd be even worse, really. But even with the amount of moisture advecting into the atmosphere tonight with this warm front, that in itself combined with the shear leads to a severe weather event without sun. You can still get these without sun, all right? So let me be clear on that. I mentioned this yesterday. I want to be clear. That's why we're still talking about severe weather, even though it's in the overnight. And it's even more bothersome because it's the overnight. It's dangerous. The dew points are up there, though. These are July-like dew points, around 70 degrees. You just don't see that in April. In the short range, the RAT model from the Storm Prediction Center shows just by this afternoon, you can only see it about 2 o'clock this afternoon, and it does indicate, you see that shear, the strong shear building in southern Kentucky. That's why, again, more proof of how things will build in our southern counties first. When we look at the actual soundings here, and I know this is hard to read, but this is the ground level, this is way up high. Anytime you see a lot of red in this box, not a good thing. This tells you how unstable the setup is. What we're looking at here is we head into about 7 o'clock this evening. We do have a slight cap. It's not overly strong, but a slight cap locally. That's why I think the worst of the storms should still be to our south at this point. This is looking at the NAM soundings. But still, a lot of instability here to work with and a lot of moisture as well. As we head toward midnight, we have more of the red than anything showing up here. Our ability to have rotating thunderstorms is going to take shape as well. And keep in mind, there's going to be a lot of these thunderstorms that will be rotating. That doesn't always mean a tornado is going to happen. You know, strong thunderstorms always rotate. It just means there's a greater potential for large hail, certainly with that setup. And if the conditions are right, you can get tornadoes to develop within those rotating cells themselves. The structures and how they develop in the radar, how isolated they are versus in clusters, that will all come into play on the tornado potential. But with almost every storm, especially strong storm, rotating, that means the tornado potential is there. It is certainly elevated, and it's something that we need to watch carefully. As we head into the overnight period into early tomorrow morning, we begin to ease things down just a tad bit, but still I think it's going to be busy for us for the morning period. And then as you look at our futurecast, you see where it's, again, it got that front so close to us in the morning period. We will try to get it to at least Indianapolis by Saturday afternoon. If that happens, that will give us a break to get very unstable, very humid. However, if we still have the front too close to us, even isolated thunderstorms could develop in the afternoon, and those could even be severe. So we're not going to be out of the severe zone really until Monday morning, until we completely say we're out of the woods, if you will. But the potential is at least there for a good break Saturday afternoon. As long as we get that warm front to the north, we'll watch and see these thunderstorms. They may send a couple outflow boundaries in from Indiana during Saturday night that may try to reach toward Louisville, but it should be a very warm, muggy Saturday night. Several areas may not even drop below 70, and some spots maybe even that low. So a very summer-like night. It all ends finally Sunday when we finally get this front to move in. But how quickly we get the front in here will determine our severity. Right now, the timing looks slow enough that it looks to be a Western Kentucky event, and by the time it reaches us, it's more of a heavy rain event. But still, the shear is impressive with this setup. So we still can't rule out some severe weather warnings for the overnight period into the rush hour period of Monday morning. So we need to monitor that. But the good news is, as we head into Derby week, some better looking setups to talk about here. A low pressure for Wednesday into Thursday, so the steamboat race and the parade most at risk from that low for cooler weather and some showers. But as we head into Oaks Day, we will have cloud cover early on and cool weather, but I think as we head into Derby, we'll be in much better shape, perhaps into the 70s with sunshine. I'll end on a good note. But there's a lot to keep an eye on, guys. Stay close to the forecast. We will be sending out lots of updates.